Tori, let's go back to about 5 months ago. I was calling agency owner after agency owner, leaving a whole bunch of voicemails, and you were the only person who picked up the phone. There's a ton of people who are just getting started right now who are looking for guidance from somebody who's a little bit farther ahead in their journey, but maybe they feel like, why would somebody want to talk to me? Like, I got no credibility, right? Why did you answer the phone and why did you agree to give your time to a complete stranger?
So like from a selfish perspective, I'm like the head of business development at my company. So that's my job. I got to answer that phone, whatever it is, and kind of decipher what kind of caller that is. And so we get tons of calls from potential clients, which obviously those are great. We're trying to get those people to come in and become a client. But I get calls from people looking for jobs. I get calls from vendors offering services. And to a certain extent, my job is to vet through those and see if there's any value in that, and that takes a couple phone calls normally to figure that out. And that's where we've found some of our best employees. I love like an employee that reaches out to us and like cold and asks for whether it's advice. I want to hop on a set. I want to try this out. I want to learn. That person has got something that's like 10,000 times more important than a really talented cinematographer that's not willing to put in the work, right? And so I answer those calls. And again, like selfishly, I've had some really cool phone calls that have come through. I've become consultants on different companies that have reached out to me just asking questions. I became a consultant for a company that's now worth over $1 billion just because of a phone call like that. They asked, hey, or I guess it was an email, but they asked, can I, check out their product for 30 minutes? And I ended up hopping on their board and joining their team because of the kind of value add that I was giving. Actually, like one of my best friends and business partners of over 15 years now was from a Facebook message. He just messaged me and said, hey, I think we could work together on projects. He was offering a different service. He saw that we had similar clients. And yeah, literally like he was in my wedding. So like those, you'd be surprised at how much good stuff comes from, just like hearing out, what's coming your way.
What's the difference between a message like that you get versus one that you just ignore completely? Because I'm sure you've gotten a ton of those, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't ignore a lot, to be honest. Like, I feel bad. The ones I ignore, because we get a ton of them, is voiceover artists. Voiceover artists email and message us daily, and it just doesn't, it's not part of our workflow. We always do a casting call, so we don't hold like a library of people, and that's what these voiceover artists want. And then I can see through scams or like just junk. If people are mass emailing me, at least I can see that. I don't respond to those. But if it's a personal email, ideally short or a quick phone call, then I hop in there and respond. From like most people are looking to work for us in some capacity. So I have a system with my virtual assistants where I will respond to that person, ask for clarification about like the type of work that they offer, their rates, some samples of their work, things like that. And then we organize that into a Google spreadsheet so that if and when we have a need, I can really quickly go find that person. So whether that's a colorist, an audio mixer, production designer, I am always looking for new and creative people to work with. So like those people that reach out, like I said, those are normally hard workers. And so we keep them organized. And then when we have a need, we'll reach out to them.
So would you say do you have a specific framework for how you identify those types of people once you start talking to them?
No, not I mean, I can see based off of someone's demo reel if they're a good fit, how they respond. One of our internal tasks. I have a couple virtual assistants that I CC on all my emails. If I email someone and they respond back and they take everyone off the email, like they don't reply all, like that to me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, I'm gonna probably be bothered by you for with a lot of things. And I know it's a petty thing, but that's like a red flag that we literally mark down in our process when we're trying to figure out if we want to work with these people. and also just like the how quickly they respond. Yeah, you'd be so surprised. I get an email from someone wanting to work with us, work for us. I'll respond that day, and then they don't respond again for a week, and they'll say something like, "I got busy," and I'm like, "You reached out to me, right?" So, and again, I know things come up, but those are, you'd be surprised how many people are just, they think that if they just blast an email to a bunch of production companies, they're gonna just get a bunch of jobs or something like that. So,
It's pretty easy to tell based on the effort and willingness of work they're willing to put in, pretty much.
yeah, I mean, I don't think I have a hard rule. I'm 38. I started my first company when I was 14, so I've been doing this for a long time. I've worked with a lot of people. I've worked with a lot of vendors, so I feel like I live, breathe that kind of communication, and so I can kind of just tell what kind of people. Again, good workers are great, but also like good people. Like I'm in a lifestyle business. I'm not sitting here trying to like make a ton of profit for my shareholders or sell our company. I like coming to work every day. I like working with the people I work with. And so a lot of it is just kind of like feeling out do I want to hang out with this person? Because productions take 12, 14-hour days. So if you don't like that person, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Have you always had that?
Yeah, I mean, it always comes and goes. Like, so when early on, I actually had two business partners that I eventually bought out. One was my best friend through high school. One was a really good friend from college. And obviously, like, a business relationship is like a real relationship. Like, you're married to that person. So there's fights, there's arguments and things like that. But we work through those, and they all kind of, the culture kind of has stayed pretty strong throughout the entire time. Whether we might have some people that hop in and don't jive well with certain team members, but that normally gets pushed out if they don't change. And I've had some like heart to hearts with people basically saying like, "Hey, we love your work, but the team doesn't enjoy being around you because you're grumpy, you're sad, whatever it might be." And I tell them like, "Hey, like we're not going to be able to work with you if you're not a good time." And so whether they change or they move on, and we kind of keep that culture going. But for example, I think so. We have in our office full time. We have one, two, three. There's only four of us in the office full time every day. We have some people that kind of come in and out. But we just did like a Friendsgiving, Thanksgiving, and we had like over 30 people show up from outside vendors, subcontractors, past employees. So people like the group. It's a cool like friend group. Everyone's texting. They're all in group chats and things like that. So I think it's a cool vibe.
I think I saw your Instagram post about that.
I was blown away by the amount of people and the amount of food. We had so much food. Like my mom texted me, asked if I got it catered because we had like, she doesn't think that a bunch of young filmmakers want to bring in like apple pie.
And you guys got good food though?
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
So let's go back to when you were 14. Did you kind of always know you were going to be in the entrepreneurial world doing your own thing?
I guess, I mean, at that time I didn't know, but looking back, it was pretty obvious that that's what I wanted to do. I was always figuring out a way to make money or start a business of some, quote unquote business. My mom tells stories of me, like when I was like 6 or 7 years old, I was selling snails to the neighbors, because there was a bunch of snails in the backyard. I just collected them and walked them door to door. I had one customer, but did
Snails?
that. Yeah, I don't know what made me think I could sell them, but everyone had, like where we lived, we had like this snail infestation at one point, and we had to clean them off the wall. And I put them in a wagon, and I thought I could sell them to my neighbors, but there was one girl down the street that liked snails, and she bought some for a quarter, and I thought, this is my new business. But
I mean, if you can sell snails, you can sell anything, I'm sure.
Yeah, so growing up, like I had a lot of hobbies. I really liked fishing, and so I remember starting like a car wash business where I would wash my neighbors' cars to try to make money to go fishing or buy stuff. And then I was painting mailboxes growing up, a lot of different stuff. But I do think one of the things that kind of changed the direction of my entrepreneurship was, again, I liked fishing, and I would go fishing a lot with my friends. And we were entering these competitions and we were winning these competitions. So we started getting people asking us to for advice or tips and things like that. So I started a business where I was guiding fishing. And I think one of the cool things that I learned there was like, you can start a business around something that you're good at, that you enjoy doing, and make money doing it. And then I think that kind of taught me that I could do that with video. And that was kind of the next thing that I did after that.
How did it go from fishing to video?
So I took a video course in high school. Had an amazing teacher, two different teachers that were amazing. I still talk to them today. They come to my office all the time. So again, mentors are super important. So these guys I met when I was 14, they taught me photography and video. Really loved it, had a passion for it. And my mom, who's a residential real estate agent, she came home one day from trying to sell a house and said, "Hey, I know you're in video. Check out this video I just paid someone to make for a house that they're trying to sell." And I looked at it and I was like, "That's not very good." And she was like, "I paid someone $150 to do that." And I was like, "I would do that all day long. And I would do a better job doing it." Right. And this is 2004. So I know $150 isn't much, but for a 14-year-old, I was like, that's pretty awesome. And I could do that in 2 hours. And so started doing that for my mom. She was part of a brokerage. So she had a bunch of real estate agents that worked with her, and they started seeing our videos and they started hiring us. And that's where we got so busy that I actually added a business partner, my friend from my water polo team, and we were kind of tag teaming these. And then the entrepreneurship kind of kicked in and we started offering more services. So then we started adding, instead of just video, we started adding photography. Then we worked with a print house and we started offering actually printing the flyers for them. Then we partnered with a sign shop and we started creating the actual signs that were outside the for sale house. We started creating websites that featured all the photos and videos. We started printing custom banners on top of the signs that had the website URL. And now this is pretty common, but think 2004, YouTube wasn't even out yet. So videos were not online. So part of even what we were doing was a lot of technology. We had to learn how to compress these files to be small enough to live on a website. And this is back when people had slow internet, and still stream it and have good quality. So we got down a techie nerd route and everything. So doing all those houses, doing all that stuff, and then just kept leveling that up and up throughout the years.
Did you think, all right, next month we're gonna do the sign partnership, we're gonna take photos, or did it just naturally happen?
Again, I think it's that entrepreneurial mindset of, we would take the photos and we'd give them to the real estate agent. And then we started seeing that they would take those photos, go to a graphic designer, pay them to create their flyer. And then I was like, I could do that for you instead of you giving it to someone else and them making money off of it. And then I started designing the flyers and giving them the file, and they were taking that over to a printer and printing it. And I was like, I could do that for you too. And then, we just kept adding those types of things, whether it was obvious things that they were already doing, and we just tried to, kind of manage all of it for them. And then we also were getting innovative and saying, hey, we have this customer. What can we also offer them that they might need? And we'd start brainstorming whether, other ideas on top of that. So that did level up into, instead of doing videos just for the houses that these real estate agents were selling, we started adding let's do videos for the agent themselves, so that they can market themselves to new customers. And then that went into creating videos for the agency as a whole, where, this is a company that has multiple agents. Now let's do a video for that person. And it just kind of keeps going from there.
When do you think it switched to being a real, this is my business, this is my career, from a side hobby? Because I'm guessing it started out as more of a side hobby, right?
Yeah. So, obviously through high school, it was just a thing that I was doing, kind of avoiding having to go work at Starbucks or In-N-Out or whatever to make some side cash, because I'm still living at home. I didn't have expenses, things like that. I went to junior college, so I did 2 years at a local college where I still, again, lived at home. Didn't have expenses for rent or anything there. And then I did 2 years at USC. So I did move out to Los Angeles, lived there. And again, throughout the entire college process, I was still running this company, creating videos, whatever it might be. Always pivoting though. Like in college, I was dating a cheerleader at the time, and I was filming her cheerleading events just because I had to be there anyways. And I created a video for for the team, like for their end of year, and all the parents wanted to buy it off of me after they showed it. So I was like, okay, I could be doing this. And literally, like by 6 months later, we were filming like cheerleading competitions every weekend around California and producing DVDs and mailing them out all over the place. So like, again, doing all that, but it was still pretty small. Like my mom was running the DVD sale booth for us, like while we were filming, because someone had to be selling while we were filming. So after college, I moved back home again, was running the company out of my parents' house. So it was like out of the bedroom. So we had 6 of us in my bedroom, working on videos. So again, still like, it was like, that's all I was doing, but I didn't have expenses yet. I think the very first time I went and actually got an office was when I felt like, hey, we actually have, I'm at least going to give a run at trying to do this. But even then, I think after having an office, I think for like 3 or 4 years, I still got questions from my parents like, all right, when are you going to go do something for real?
And what was that like? What was that like? What was going through your head during that time?
I mean, it sounds bad, but like it didn't bother me, and I think it was a real question of whether or not I'm not super open, to be honest, with like the financials of my company with many people. So a lot of times we might be having a great year. You're not going to see much of a difference from me from when we're having a really bad year. I'm going to always put my head down and just figure out how to get it out. Figure it out.
Did you ever question your direction back when your parents were asking those questions?
No, I mean, like my biggest thing was if I can keep it, if I can have a income from it, that this is what I want to be doing. I saw a lot of my friends that were getting like kind of what I would call like your traditional job. And the thing that kind of always bothered me, so they saw the benefit of having stability, right? They have like a guaranteed paycheck. Things are changing now. There's so many people getting laid off and different things. But, in general, you have a consistent paycheck. It's going to be there every 2 weeks. You can kind of build your life around that. The thing that kind of killed me was if that person works really hard for 1 month, nothing happens in that paycheck. It doesn't go up, doesn't go down, doesn't go up. So with me, I see like a direct correlation to like literally if I work really hard for a weekend, I know I'm going to see results from that because I have that full control. And having that, I don't think I could not have that. And once I started experiencing that kind of like one-to-one relationship of like if the amount that I'm putting in is how much I'm getting out.
Having full control of output, like volume out, I guess. Having full
Yeah, I mean,
control over
like
that.
good and bad, right? Like if I get lazy for a couple months, like you definitely see it, right? And so, yeah, but I just don't. Yeah, I've never applied for a job, so I don't know.
It's goals. Goals. Yeah,
Well,
so
I will say I was a lifeguard for 1 summer, and I was uninvited back by the end of it. It's the nice way of saying fired because it was like so short that they didn't have to actually fire me. They just uninvited me back.
I mean that's not a bad one. If you could only have one job, that's not a bad one time, right?
Yeah, no,
Kind of chill.
it was fun. It was just kind of a well, it actually does show you some things. So like one of the tricky things with video production and a creative space is creative business is a lot of people are really good at creative and video and things like that, but they might not be super good at running a business.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that, and you see that in the way that they work and things like, and that's totally fine. And I've learned on how to manage that. I saw a lot of that at the lifeguards because there's guys who are good lifeguards, life-saving, they're fit, they're active, but they're running a business at the end of the day, and I saw like just so many places where I was like, I would change everything about the way that you schedule people. It just didn't make sense to me. And again, that probably taught me that I probably wouldn't be a great employee because I would just disagree with a lot of different things that they're doing.
So you're more on the business side, right? Mentally, or is it a good
Yeah,
mix?
yeah. So I mean, like from the beginning, I was the head cinematographer. So I was doing all the filming and all the lighting. So I still have that background. That's what I went to school for. I can still pull that out when I need. But yeah, day in and day out now, probably more so for the last like 5 years, I'm going to be client facing. I'm on the strategy side, trying to figure out why a company needs a video, what type of video they need, how much money they should be spending on that video. And then I am like still on set for 90% of the productions that we're doing, whether that's because I'm sitting with the client, making sure that they understand what's going on. But also, I'm with my team, making sure that we're going to get a good video. I don't want to convince a client that they should spend 50 grand on something and then we produce something that's not up to par of what I promised them. So I'm still involved in there and I got some ideas, but the team that we have right now is super collaborative and open. So I might hop in and help with lighting, different things like that.
What separates a video people want to skip through versus one that is actually engaging?
um I mean, so I've written a lot of articles on this, and there's almost like endless variations of why a video might work better than another. Almost like a movie. Like it doesn't like if you have a comedy movie or a drama or a thriller or a horror film, like those are different types of videos, and they all can be really good. They all can be super engaging, and people can be um, you know, really interested in watching it. And I think a commercial is similar in that fact that like there could be comedy that keeps people interested. There could be like shock value that could keep people interested. There could be education that keeps people interested. But one of the things that we really take into consideration, not one of the things, I guess there's a lot of things. When we're creating a concept for a video, we're thinking about what's the product or service that we're trying to sell. Who are we talking to? So we need to know the type of customer that we're talking to. And this can get wildly different. Like imagine if you're selling like a basic consumer electronic device that's for the masses, like an iPhone. These people are in general uneducated in like understanding all of the technology. But if we're selling a medical device to a surgeon, we have to understand that surgeon is at like a totally different level of understanding of like the needs of how the product's going to work, the impact that it's going to have. And so we have to do a lot of things to make sure we're not talking down to that person, and like making sure that the video comes in like respecting the audience that we're going to be talking to. We also take into consideration where this video is going to be displayed. So there is a big difference between a video that's played, say a meta ad, so someone's scrolling on Instagram and it pops into your feed, that's forcing someone to watch it. Yeah, you need to stop that person and make them interested in staying for 15, 30 seconds to watch that video. Versus we do a lot of videos for companies that, they might invite potential clients into their office and they say, hey, check this out. And they watch the video up on the wall. Like that video, you'd have to be pretty disrespectful to like look away, in a meeting. So there's a lot of different strategies for that and how we can make sure that those videos are successful. I guess long story short, like one of the things that we tell our team, we tell our clients is like our goal from our video perspective is we want to create videos that accomplish our clients' goals, but those goals could be anything. Obviously, a lot of people want more sales, but we normally try to dive deeper because that that sale could come from we need to make sure that the client or the viewer understands how the product works. We need to make sure that the viewer understands the value add that this product or service brings to them. We need to make sure that the viewer stays on the website longer, whatever it might be. Like we figure out what that goal is, and then we try to create a custom video that fits that. And so even if you look at our videos, while we're one team, so we probably have a style, they're so dramatically different. It's crazy. None of the videos are normally, we don't copy a video from one client to another.
So if I'm somebody listening right now who has an idea and their audience, let's say, is problem aware but not solution aware, and they wanted to start promoting, where would you start? Would you start with a video ad or something else?
I mean, I always think that, well, I guess based off what you just said, if someone's problem aware, and when you say they're not solution aware, meaning they probably don't even know that there is a solution, then I mean, I guess I'm biased, but video is such it's like the best way to explain that. Obviously, that you're going to have to figure out how to get it in front of them. But if you have that, like, you would probably start with reinforcing the problem that people are feeling. So whether it's back pain, like, hey, you've been slouching, you have back pain. We know you've had back pain. There's no solution, no solution, no solution. And then boom, we introduce, this is our new innovative solution that we have. You've never tried something like this. It's totally different. And then you got to explain how it works. Then you have to normally we call it like overcoming. It's like overcoming concerns, but like basically you pitch up front. This is the amazing product that's so good you wouldn't believe how good it is. And the first thing that's going to happen is the viewer's going to look at that and go like, they're probably lying. It's a scam. It's something, there's something that's not right about it. And then in the video, we kind of try to tackle those things and make sure that we reassure them, oh, you're thinking it's a scam? No, it's been supported by FDA. You think it's too expensive? Actually, it's, 3 easy pages. We go through all of those things and try to figure out the best way to explain that. And so by the end of it, if you actually watch through all of it, and this might actually be multiple videos and you're going down a funnel. But if you actually get through all of it, you should, by the end, be like just super confident, and that you confident might be confident that you're going to buy the product, or confident that you don't want to buy the product. And both are kind of successes at the end of the day, as long as you figured out, because you don't want to have someone convince someone who is not going to like the product to buy it and then complain about it and give you a bad review later anyways.
Right. Like, as long as you're helping them make the best decision for them and their situation, it's a win. Yeah. Okay. So do you think I'm able to sit down right now and record a funnel like that, a video funnel with this lighting and, I don't know, this background? Or do you think how important is it to have a higher level of production?
Yeah. So the way that I approach this and kind of explain it to our clients is, how much are you willing to risk on the production failing? So if you're doing a video right now to promote your brand new podcast, which you said this is episode 4, episode 3, how much are you willing to risk making a video that makes the podcast look bad and flops as a commercial? I would say pretty low risk. Like you could test a video that you film off your iPhone, and if it works, great. If it doesn't work, not the end of the world. Like you haven't invested that much capital, that much time, that much effort into it. Now, say you have a product that you've put $1 million in R&D, and you're going to roll this out to market, and you're presenting it at CES to a bunch of journalists, and you want to have a video. Like, if you put together a crappy video that is done by yourself, by your nephew, whatever it might be, and it doesn't work, that's $1 million video that it costs you $1 million because you just lost, right, everything.
Right.
So that's why you'll see, and in general, like big brands like Apple, GMC, whatever it might be, like they're going to put a lot of money into these videos, because if that video doesn't work, they lose a lot more. So it's the risk reward that I think what you're willing to lose on that campaign.
So you said, you're willing to test it, right? Is that something that a mindset you see a lot of people having to make, being willing to, well, first of all, like deciding, is this something I can test, or deciding I'm going to, like you said, waste a whole bunch of money if I just go ahead and do it without testing?
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know if you've ever heard of like an MVP, like a minimum
Yeah.
viable product. Like I totally think that that's an amazing approach to business and product launching and developing and things like that. Um, but again, it kind of goes back to, say you had a piece of software that you're developing, and what the minimum viable product is supposed to help you with is, don't sit in a closet for 5 years developing this software and then launching it and finding out that no one wants it, or you thought they liked it in purple but they want it in black, whatever it might be. You get that minimum viable product out, so you get that like beta version out. Now when you launch a beta version, you don't spend $10 million to advertise it and get it out to 10 million people, because it's an MVP, it's a beta. So if you have that MVP version, do an MVP video, test promoting this small thing. And again, if the video flops and the software doesn't launch, that's fine. Get back to work on the software, build it up more, and now you're going to invest more on that next video. So I think there's value in kind of like, just, you got to look at the scenario of what you're trying to do with that video and see if you need that higher production value or not.
Would I want to start off by hiring a production company like you? At what point do I make that switch?
Again, it comes back to the size of what you're working with. So like if your revenue from something is only making you a couple $1,000s a month, like you shouldn't go and spend $20,000 on a video. I mean, there's not a hard line, but a lot of people say that like 10% of your revenue should be going back into marketing, 10, 15% of your revenue, and different industries are different. And so I understand that video is not going to be your only marketing tool. You need website, you need an SEO plan, you need media dollars, things like that. So it's all part of that mix. But I would say our average clients are doing $10, $20 million in revenue before they come to us for that like campaign. But with that being said, we also do offer smaller videos. We have smaller animations that we do that start between $5,000 and $7,000. So we do help certain startups, but it would just have to be a good fit where video is going to be a very large mix in your marketing tool. And so some clients, every service is different, but like some services like solar, they're going to make the biggest bang for their buck by doing like door-to-door sales. Having like an amazing commercial for solar installation, like that would be the next step after that. So like every industry is going to be a little bit different. But if you're selling an e-commerce product, you're not doing that door to door, right? You have a website, you're trying to drive traffic. So video might be a larger mix of your marketing dollars that you're offering out.
Okay. So would you say testing and figuring out your message, of course, depending on the situation, on the smaller things, like maybe a website or, I don't know, a LinkedIn post, for example, before focusing more on video?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know your message, if you don't know your customers yet, if you don't know why your customers are buying or what your competitors are doing, like video is definitely further down the line. It's not like, hey, I have an idea for a product, let's do a video. Like you got to get out there and start testing it more. And then and this is from like a commercial perspective. Like if you're to do like a video like what we do here at Spark House, we're doing a promotional commercial. Like you should be an established business before you're spending that type of money on there. But with that being said, like video can be super powerful, as I'm sure you've seen, like restaurants and even like small like mom and pop like product companies. Like you can just do selfie videos on TikTok and go viral for that, and that could be your marketing strategy. So
Right.
yeah, there's a lot of different ways you could roll it out.
So I'm guessing you said you were on the floor and you work directly with these companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you learned, like, picked up on a lot of lessons from just talking to these people, or I'm sure you have, right?
Yeah, I
Just being
mean,
in that environment with different founders and entrepreneurs.
yeah, it's a different mix. So the again, kind of going back to what you were saying, like with the size of the companies, most of the companies that we work with, we're not dealing with the founders or even the CEOs of these companies. We're dealing with the VP of marketing, the head of marketing or head of content, whatever it might be. So those are different beasts. Obviously, there's a lot of things to learn from these people. They're gurus in their own right, but as marketers. But I'm not learning like entrepreneurial stuff from these people. But we do probably have a handful, maybe 10 or 15% of our clients. We are dealing directly with the CEO and founder. So yeah, there's definitely some cool ones. I literally just called one of my clients 2 days ago, one of my past clients, to get advice about developing a piece of software that was similar to like what they were doing, but like for a different industry. Gave me a ton of like good connections and referrals that I could use to build out something that we're trying to do here at Sparkhouse. So yeah, certain ones you definitely get some cool ideas from.
What's something that somebody like me who's never really been in that world just yet would be shocked by learning, you know?
I'm always shocked by how there's so many huge businesses, massive businesses for products that you didn't, or products or services you didn't even know were around. Like, I'm trying to think of one now, but like, so like we just did a commercial for a company, a massive company. They're nationwide, at least. I think they service some stuff worldwide. And all they do is window tint that protects from like breaking. So this is like tint that's going to go over like a window at a jewelry store or a storefront or a mall or whatever it might be. And I'm like, I've hired someone to tint my truck before. It's one guy, but like they've figured out to build an empire, like a massive company that just goes around and tints windows. We did one that makes cement, like the powder of cement. And you know, they're huge in Mexico and they have an office here. And like, yeah, I'm just always blown away. Obviously everything needs a company or a business, but you start seeing like you could make money literally doing anything. There's, you know, multi-millionaires selling rubber for shoes, everything.
I mean, that's kind of inspirational to hear because like when you're just starting out, you have, or at least I tend to have like a scarcity mindset.
Yep.
Like, is that anything, it's something you ever, would you say that's kind of changed? Have you ever dealt with that? Or has it always
Yeah.
been?
No, it's definitely a mindset that I think a lot of people have or had. But I would say like even in my own business right now, like you would think if I were to look and talk to the founders or owners of video production companies in Orange County, so these are literally people that are like 10 miles away from my office, you would think those people are my direct competitors, and like you said, scarcity, like we should be not fighting them, but we should be, you know, building tactics against them, trying to figure out how to beat them, all these different things. And I think the cool thing is, yeah, there's no scarcity in that. Like we are friends, we collaborate all the time. I just talked to a couple of them like last week, and I brought this up specifically. I was like, I don't think that we're ever going to compete like one-on-one. You might have gotten a client that I wanted to get. I might have gotten a client that you wanted to get, but at the end of the day, the client is going to pick the one that's the best fit. So it's like, if I'm not the best fit, then go over there. It's not, you know, we're not stealing each other's clients. And so, yeah, over the last couple of years, we started working a lot more with other video production companies instead of saying, hey, like they're a competitor, we probably shouldn't like network with them and things like that. But yeah, I don't think there's a scarcity of, at least from the businesses that I'm thinking of right now. I'm sure that there's a max that that'll hit in a town that you can't have 10 Best Buys next to each other or whatever it might be. But
It's almost like you said, helping the customer is for the best fit, right? So you're playing
yeah,
like two different games.
no, I mean, like even so, when a client comes to us and say, I know that we're not a good fit for them, I could convince them that we're a good fit, but then it's going to
Hmm.
be a bad relationship. So you'd be amazed, like if I tell someone, like, hey, I think you should go work with this company, or I think you need a website first before you get into a video. They come back 6 months later, a year later, like so much happier, and they're satisfied with, even though I didn't do anything besides point them in the right direction, they trust us way more, and we'll get them as a client later, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So I this whole past week been watching a whole bunch of 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝘀𝗀 videos and been like, I'm gonna be like Steven. So now I'm like, oh crap, what would he say? Um, where's Sparkhouse going?
Um, so we've been fairly consistently growing slowly for the last 10 years. So, I don't think we're going to be making massive changes anytime soon, but constantly just trying to build a bigger, stronger team that's more efficient. And efficiency is a big thing for us. The more efficient we can get at kicking out videos, obviously we're going to be making more profit, but we're going to be able to work more creatively and put out better work. So if we're stressing to get things done, just barely getting things done, then we don't have the creative freedom to sit on a project and actually do a really good job. So we're constantly going to be focusing on building better processes, making the team more efficient, getting them the tools that they need, just to kick out more and better videos faster.
What kind of goes into that real quick? I'm going to ask this question and then go into our ending question.
Yeah.
Basically, what goes into being a CEO who is in charge of that?
So I guess like everything we do, we try to set up some sort of process so that it's repeatable. Like if we have our core team of say 5 people working on a project, if we need to scale up and add 5 more people, how do we duplicate people? And that comes back to processes. So we're constantly documenting what we're doing, best practices, creating SOPs, so that we can really quickly turn on a light switch and literally bring on 1 more person or 2 more people, and they can hit the ground running. They don't have to go through 3 months of training in order to help us create these projects. And then when it comes to just capacity wise, having again, like say 5 core people executing 25, 30 projects at a time, it comes back to having the right systems and processes. So we use a lot of project management systems mixed in with virtual assistants, VAs, and integrating now AI into that to just make sure that we're not dropping the ball and we're constantly pushing all of the projects that we currently have forward efficiently. It gets tricky, right? Like we got I think we have like 30 active projects right now. Like that's 30 balls up in the air as a juggler, and you got to make sure you're not going to drop any of them, right? So just making sure that you have those systems, and those systems really come down to like helping you. They're kind of nets in that sense. Like you can focus on one thing, and they're gonna catch things and remind you, hey, this other client also needs some help here, and you can kind of bounce back and forth between those. So yeah, I'm kind of a geek when it comes to those like systems and platforms that we're using to make sure that those things are getting done, because if you try to keep it all in your head, you'll go crazy. So leaning in on some of these systems helps you out a lot.
Even with those, or do you ever find yourself like going through stressful times or feeling the pressure of the weight of the company and the people that you work with, like that rely on you? Do you still feel that pressure?
Yeah, no, definitely. But I mean that's the good part of being an entrepreneur. Like that's what you signed up for, right? You wanted to quit your 9 to 5 so that you can go work your 7 to 10. Like
Mm-hmm.
you end up working more. But you enjoy as long as you enjoy what you're doing, then it's kind of worth it there. So I like busy times more than slow, right? Like that means business is doing well. So I don't think you'll see me complaining if we're overly busy. We're just going to figure out ways to get that stuff done. I'll probably be complaining when we're slow. That's the stress that I get, is if we don't have the business coming in, we got to go figure out how to get more.
Mm-hmm. So Tori, let's pretend for a second that you're standing in front of a classroom full of first-time entrepreneurs. Maybe they got a business, maybe they're thinking about starting. You have 1 minute to teach them a lesson. What are you going to say to them?
So my biggest thing, I think that's helped me a ton, and it kind of goes back to your first question of why I answered that call, is building your network. Your network is going to be one of the strongest tools to growing a business, to helping a business, to getting out of trouble. I have a Rolodex of mentors and past coworkers and people that that I look up to, that I can call upon anytime right now to get help. And that could be from a CPA to a coach to a fellow entrepreneur, different departments that I've kind of allocated out. But the way that you create that is you have to give to them first and build that trust. So one of the things that I see, especially with a lot of young, maybe not entrepreneurs as much, but like just young professionals, is like even going to like a networking event, they're sitting there looking for things. They want to pick up a new client. They want to get a new job. They want to get a new connection. They're literally going to an event wanting. And you can kind of smell that when you see them going to an event and people don't want to talk to them. It doesn't work for them. If you can go to even a simple networking event and provide value to that group, you're going to be looked at as a leader in that group, even just by hopping in. So I always tell people, like, go to networking events and volunteer to take the tickets at the front door. Not only are you going to meet every single person, shake their hand, know their name, and start that conversation, but you're providing something to that group. So in 6 months, when you need help running an event or whatever, like, you can actually go in there and ask them for it. And again, it's like smart and selfish, right? Give a bunch so that you can get a bunch later.
No, I think it makes perfect sense. It's a mutual relationship, and like you said, you're going to stand out.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It was fun.